We're back. That's right, season 2, baby. Bigger, better, shinier. Gotta make a great intro for a great season. I'll just pull out all the funny bits from these two films and make something great. These two hilarious romps through totalitarian dictatorship and the complete destruction of the earth and society as we know it. Hilarious. This will be easy, no problem. We watched 1984 and 2012.
The French champagne.
Can you tell me which members of the Reservoir Dogs you two are currently dressed as?
I'm Mr. Pink.
Sis Blue.
So Miranda hasn't seen Reservoir Dogs.
Secret Nazis.
Yeah.
Secret Nazis.
Classic
Spielberg.
Classic Spielberg.
He needs to kill 94 different 65-year-old men over 2.5 years because those men's children are all identical clones of Adolf Hitler.
There's like a bunch of other shit that happens in Driven.
Is there?
Shake it! Shake it!
The schlocky movie from this week may be the schlockiest film we've ever seen on this podcast.
The Citizen Kane of the week is...
Yay! Welcome to what we're calling season 2 of Citizen Kane Versus, where we watch 2 movies, one of which is considered to be more of a classic and the other one more of a schlocky film, and we ask ourselves honestly, which is better? My name is Jack Rennie, and I am joined once more by my friends, one
Sean Jacklin.
and the other.
Daniel Benoit.
Oh,
What?
No.
Hey, it's season 2, guys.
We didn't agree to these changes, Daniel.
Come on. We had meetings.
Our fan is going to be furious about this.
Yeah, fuck. We lost her now.
We just lost Miranda. She's gone.
Yeah.
Miranda's never coming back. So yeah, welcome to, again, what we are just kind of calling, because we did like 25 of these
We did
episodes.
like half a year of episodes, yeah.
It's so many. We watched like 50 movies last year, which is fun. It's actually been really, really, really fun.
Yeah.
Seen some movies I think we have all talked about we wouldn't otherwise have watched, which was a lot of fun. And some that we maybe didn't want to watch and that we kind of had to, which is fun in a different way. And we just decided new year, new season, and we'll have a great, I'm guessing 70 episode season this year?
Yeah.
Something like that? We'll see.
Let's try to have more episodes than weeks in the year somehow.
I was going to say, I'm
Yeah,
aiming
somehow.
for like 2 or 3 a week.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Pandemic's going to be a long one, huh?
Yeah. And the movies this week to bring in the new year, I pitched some year-based movies, which are 1984, the one made in 1984 with Mr. John Hurt, and 2012, the one made in 2009. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I only partially regret it, but otherwise, you know what? It felt like a good comparison. So as we get into the comparisons this week, we are going to have some new changes to the format. We're going to try and actually tighten this podcast up for once, and we're going to bring out some more combative energy. So we're really going to debate these topics more as the whole point of the podcast, the categories that we've been using so far, and then we're just going to kind of wrap her up. Get her done, declare the Citizen Kane of the week at the end. So before we do that, Dan, do you want to give us some gleaming summaries of these 2 movies?
They better be gleaming.
They better be
Oh,
gleaming
they are going to
summaries of the
Here we go.
movie.
I'm taking a new approach here, guys. Ready?
Okay.
In the red corner, a dystopian drama about one man's horrendously unsuccessful attempt to maintain his humanity and rebel against a totalitarian society by having a love affair with a stranger. Starring John Hurt and Suzanne Hamilton as Winston Smith and Julia, 1984. And in the blue corner, an apocalyptic disaster epic about a failed author and limo driver turned hero after he saves his estranged family and a small group of American citizens from the literal destruction of the world predicted by the ancient Mayans. Starring John Cusack and Chiwetel Ejiofor, 2012. I'm sorry to Chiwetel.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
What did I say? That was close.
Yeah. Yep.
2012.
Yeah, Turnball Ben Bomb.
And lots more people than I
So
remember,
loud.
actually. Speaking of actors in 2012, we had Amanda Peet, who doesn't have a
Yep.
huge filmography, but
Tandy
she's in
Newton.
there. Who?
Tandy Newton.
Tandy Newton.
Yeah.
Love Tandy Newton. Donald Glover, or sorry, Danny Glover, not Donald Glover.
Yeah.
I was going to say, wrong Glover.
Danny Glover. We had Woody Harrelson. I
Yes.
forgot was in this movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
How could you
pop-up people.
forget?
So those are the summers of the movies. If you're not familiar, I mean, 1984 is also obviously a classic book that many people have read. I read it for the first time like last year. Actually, I'd never read it.
Oh, I still have not read it. And
Oh, that's very surprising.
I know. I kind of, because I came to the realization that, I guess fascism bad at a very young age, so I just never felt the urge to like delve into the reasons why, and I feel like my viewing of the movie might be affected because I didn't read the book.
What radical thinking, Sean.
I know.
You're
I'm
so
very
out there.
brave.
Yeah, very, very progressive of you. Fascism bad.
I read Animal Farm a couple of years
Yeah.
ago.
Hey. Yeah.
and what are your beliefs on the inevitable class structuring of society, no matter what we do?
Bad. I,
Progressive. Radical.
thank you.
So you don't like Bolshevism? Okay.
Bad Bolshevism. Bad. Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Nailed it. Daniel Benoit.
And I'm Daniel Benoit. Daniel Benoit. So let's jump into it. So round one, we're also mixing up the order of our categories. Watch out, exciting new content. So round one, we're going to start with story good. Story good. Begin.
Is the story good? Begin with 1984. Is this story good? Yes, it is good. I'll tell you why it's good.
Oh,
All right, go.
Just
from
let
someone who
me-
hasn't read the book. I don't know,
from
but
someone
okay.
who hasn't read this book. Actually, you know what? I think my main note on story was that I couldn't follow the movie very well because I didn't really know what the terms were they were using.
Yeah, I had that thought.
Yeah.
Do they
When I was watching it, I was
explain?
like, if I hadn't read it, I don't think I would get most of this.
Yeah.
Well, do they explain what a lot of the terminology is in the book?
Yes.
Like in Ingsoc and Amtel or Memrec or whatever it was.
Yes, I don't know. There's like they talk about how Newspeak works, right? Newspeak is what they call
Yeah,
it,
Newspeak,
right?
yeah.
Which is
Right.
how they're trying to like distill the English language. They do talk about it in the movie, but how they're trying to make decrease the vocabulary,
Yeah.
to limit people's thoughts, and they do that by like also doing weird conjunctions of words. So they use a word to describe how they talk about how there are women who are taking a vow of celibacy and they're giving up sex and all that, and they call like artificial insemination. I think they call it artsem.
Yeah.
Like they just like take words and they like strip them down and make them as small and like as utilitarian as possible.
Right.
But yeah, it's so little is explained in this movie in exchange for just tons of I guess what I would call atmosphere. Like
Yeah.
which means people not talking and just like standing around as stuff is happening and like you look
Yeah.
at the world, which
As-
I kind of appreciate.
Yeah, I do too.
But I don't know
mean,
if
it was
it's
great-
not good storytelling. It's just
well,
it is.
kind of
Sorry, that's
storytelling.
I don't know what I'm saying.
It's good world building, but I don't think it's
Yes.
good storytelling. I mean, my main thought with this movie was that it is a movie that should have stayed as a book for the exact reasons we're talking about.
Right.
Right? Like it doesn't translate into a very exciting narrative despite how interesting the subject matter is.
Well, yeah, I was writing down right off the top, because we get all the exposition about the kind of world we're dropped into from the announcements and the propaganda that is bombarded at them through the TVs and through the loudspeakers. And I do know that is part of the universe that is written into the book.
Yeah.
But it is also a tired cliche of feature length films to have all the exposition just crammed into the beginning through like news announcements and like auditory cues that are coming in. So I wrote down all this announcement exposition is really cliche, but when I was thinking about that, I was more, I think, criticizing the limits of a feature film to do justice to something that is so layered and so nuanced.
Yeah, well, it's one of those funny things where, like, weirdly enough, this week, 1984 was like an hour 40 or something. When really,
It was close to 2 hours.
Was it closer to 2 hours?
It was
Maybe
like an hour
50?
50.
It was, but like, you know, a little bit under 2 hours. And like really 1984 needs to be like a just under 3 hours movie. Like that's what you would need to like take the time to create this book on film. And for some reason, 2012 was like a substantially over 2.5 hours. Like they should have been reversed in their amount of time that they took to be movies.
Oh, I disagree. I think that we needed every second of screen time for 2012.
Dan,
Well, I think
I needed about 17 more explosions, actually.
I think we're fortunate that this movie was made just before the mass Hollywood decision to split movies into two to get more money out of them, because then we could have had 2012 Part 1 where like they make it to China and they find out where the ships are, and that's the end of Part 1, and then Part 2 is the journey for the ships. You know,
did they make it a
2012
trilogy?
too.
2012 too.
2012 the trilogy. 2012 Breaking Dawn.
2012, 2013.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So here's my question.
2012 Part 1, 2010. There it is.
That's the winner.
I feel like that's what it is.
So here's my question, because I vaguely remember reading 1984 in high school.
Right.
And from what I remember, the central kind of plot or narrative is what we see in the movie, right?
Yes.
Like the main character, Winston, it's about his kind of desire to rebel against Big Brother, have his love affair, and then get tortured and I guess brainwashed, but like not really brainwashed, because they kind of hint that he wasn't at the end.
Yeah. They kind of hint that, but in the book it's not ambiguous. He loves Big Brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I finished the movie and Aaron was like, "Yeah, and isn't it heartbreaking at the end when like he says I love you and he means the state?" And I was like, "What? No, the movie made it seem like maybe it's Julia. Maybe he's saying that to Julia."
Yeah. They wanted an ambiguous thing, but in the book it's straight up like he has no emotion for her. And he loves Big Brother now.
So then, I guess what I'm getting at is the narrative of this story more exciting in the more drawn out version of the book? Because to me, 1984 serves more as like a warning for what the future could hold if we follow the political trajectory to the extreme, right?
Yeah, of course. And I think it's been that since it came out, right?
Absolutely. But there's a difference between like a book that is supposed to be a warning to society and a book like, I don't know, Game of Thrones,
and a movie
for example.
made to make money that is
supposed to be an exciting narrative that keeps you gripped for 2 hours. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I get, but I don't know if it reads that way on paper, and therefore they were like, "Oh, this would be a great film," because this is the second time they've done it. This was a remake that we watched, right?
Yeah. If socialist propaganda was entertaining to the masses, it would be called normal theater. I think it would be called normal movies. It's terribly boring class structure and like the inner workings of George Orwell's beliefs on how like socialism should be, and you can't make that a film and then expect it to be good, I think, or like stellar. Right.
Yeah. It's one of those things, and this is the thing that I kept going back and forth when I was watching this movie in terms of how it was telling this story. We talked about like versus like world building. It seemed to put a lot into that building. And I noticed, Sean, like your critique also of like the screens. Like there are these screens that are constantly the idea of like this endless propaganda that I even told as an audience, like watching the movie, I was like, God, it's so constant. Like I can't even think.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a cool thing, you know what I mean? Because instead of telling us like, oh, the screens never stopped, it barely let you have a moment of thought to yourself. It's like it gave you that, right? It's a kind of an old school. They wanted to go for. It's very much an art film. I would categorize this as an art film.
It's an independent film, yeah, for sure.
I don't know if I'd say it's an art film.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. It's not. Then
the sex scenes were like there was an attempt to make them art, but that failed.
Yeah.
Do you mean that one slow motion hump that we saw?
Yeah.
The single slow motion thrust.
Sex.
I had to be like, Aaron, in the book, is Julia just like totally naked every scene? She's like, I think mostly in his imagination she is. And I was like, oh, I see. Okay, so every scene Julia has to be tits out and push out. Yeah,
the majority of her screen time.
Yeah, I felt so bad for that actress. I hope
she
they paid her
though.
well.
Oh, that's for later. That's for later. Shut up.
Yeah.
Right, sorry.
So
story.
It was one of those things where it didn't, I don't know, maybe I'm trying to be generous with this. Because the book exists and is known so widely, I get the feeling that the people making this movie knew that they could take liberties with how much they could have to explain, and instead just tried to give us like the screenshot of just what it is. So even though in the book, like as they did in the movie, it's all just him thinking. Like he's barely ever talking because talking is really dangerous, right? And thinking is dangerous. They make that clear enough in the movie, right? With thought crime and stuff like that. So it's very sparse. What you actually watch in the movie is sparse because if you really thought about what happened in the book, like few conversations are had, few things are really done. Like there's simple things, but they are like outrageously dangerous. Like the fact that he goes to the proletariat neighborhoods at all is dangerous. The fact that he goes into a shop is crazy. The fact that he buys a journal is like an act of treason. So they don't show us all that because it's just something, because in the reality of it, it's actually quite a simple thing that happened. So do you know what I mean? Like it's showing us what it is without all the extra book stuff, which is in a way kind of interesting, but just like not great for like knowing what the story is if you haven't read the book.
I was confused, for example, maybe this isn't explained in the book, but if something like going into a store and buying a journal is an act of treason, then how do those stores exist? How is a journal available to purchase?
There are so the proles, which are just like they're kind of seen as lesser. They're like kind of seen as subhuman as well, which aren't like party members like what John Hurt is. Like they aren't in the blue coveralls.
They're not the laborers.
Yeah, they are just like kind of like a peasant underclass that still exists.
And like the rabble of the war, of the fallout of the war.
Yeah. And so they're kind of, because they're not in the party, they're allowed to they're kind of free, but they live in squalor.
But also remember that the store he goes to is a setup.
Yeah.
He's a member of the thought police. So it's like it's an entrapment thing.
Yeah.
So they probably aren't really allowed. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I mean. Like if you just watch this movie, I think it raises a whole bunch of questions, and doesn't really give answers. It just gives you this like dystopian glimpse of like, look, like communism.
And I laughed and I laughed and I laughed.
It's a slog, man. Like
it was devastating. And then 2 hours later, people took over the Capitol building, and I went, "Oh, I was in the middle of 2012 when I started getting the reports."
Yeah, Sean, you watched both these movies today, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, what a day for you!
I had like 5 hours of these films, and halfway through 2012, like fascism started again.
Spoilers.
And spoilers. Well, we don't know when this drops. Maybe, anyways. So like
spoilers.
The second half of 2012, I have no idea what happened in that film.
Literally the second half of 2012 is like a carbon copy of the first half of 2012.
Right.
I got to the 1 hour mark. Yeah, I got to the 1 hour mark in this movie and literally wrote down, how the fuck is there still more than half of this movie left? I get it. The world is ending. Let's bring it home.
Yeah,
get it.
right?
They
Holy
do-
shit.
They do the first. So, like, this 2012. I partially pitched it because I thought it'd be a nice pairing, because I figured 1984 would be a bit like a classic, and it's like a classic story, but like going to be a bit of a weird movie probably. And 2012, I remember like not liking, despite its blockbuster, because it had a lot of that, what I call like the murder porn.
Oh boy, don't it?
It really does, man. Like, they really make a point to have a couple scenes where you have to watch thousands of people like graphically dying horribly.
Hey, did you see him just kiss his son goodbye? Here's a tsunami that kills them both.
Yeah. Oh, they can't just drive a plane through the falling skyscrapers. You have to see people clinging onto it as they
Clinging
fall
to
to
the
their death.
buildings.
They're dead. They're fucking dead. They're not dead. They're dying. They're dying
Yeah,
anyway.
they're gonna die.
Yeah.
You
Although
know it.
one would argue, though, that is a necessary part of a movie like this, given
Yeah.
the content, right? If they don't, I mean, I'm sick. I get really annoyed when I see other movies like San Andreas, for example, the one with The Rock and fucking whatever his name is, where things are getting destroyed left and right, but you don't actually see people dying, so you don't
Right.
get like the weight of what's actually happening. Or when you watch a Marvel movie and they destroy entire city blocks and make no mention of the people that were in those buildings. You
That's
know
a
what I mean?
fair
Like,
point.
you were talking about the destruction of the entire world, including
Certainly.
watching the people have to suffer and seeing the casualties, right? So like, I agree that it's a bit gratuitous because it isn't a movie that has much depth, we'll say. But I kind of get it.
I think there's definitely a place for these movies, but like if you watch these movies and you enjoy these movies, you have to acknowledge there is a part of yourself that likes watching life end.
Oy. I mean, I don't. Oy.
Like
no.
there is
No.
like no, we all have that.
Yes, it is.
Well, that's
a
why
thing that-
horror movies exist, right?
Yeah, it makes you like appreciate living. It's that thing about how death makes you feel powerful. That weird dark thing. Is that what you're talking about?
What is power?
Oh God. I mean, I guess so. Although I really do think there's a big difference between like watching people really die and the simulation of death. Like
for
watching,
sure.
like that's very different. But I still hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
I think-
and I'm not saying I'm like I liked watching those scenes. They were very exciting because boom, boom, bang, bang, ooh,
Yeah. That first scene, honestly, which is the most gratuitous one, the one with the limo driving out of, it's first of all total bullshit and absolutely fucking no way does any of that happen. But like, it's a fantasy, it's a movie.
Loved it.
I kind of
loved
I'm
did
in
its
love
job.
with it. It was fantastic.
The CGI is used really well. Like it looks quite good, I would say, even today. Like, it holds up very well. It's how they film it and how like the moments are all really tense and you're like cringing and you're like, ah! Like,
It's the only good storytelling in the movie is those danger sequences.
kind of.
Except they recycle them
Yes.
time and again. Like, you
They
see the
didn't need
first
to
time.
have, the RV bullshit. Like, you did your one good car scene. Like, it was really good. Why did you follow it up with fucking mountain in
Because the
Yellowstone?
second time it had
volcano?
comets. You know?
Yeah.
Or
But
chunks of molten earth.
it would have been just as good as if they like drove back as if it was just like rumbling and it wasn't the exact same scene again, and then they pulled off in the plane and just as like that atomic blast went off like in the plane, and then they were like, like, you know what I mean? Just because I just think they could have caught that they could have cut that 10 minutes out of the movie. Like, I didn't need that second car chase scene.
No. But then the plane chase, the first plane chase was good. When they got the plane out, but then the second time there was the plane.
Yeah. Like, you just did it. You just did it.
Yeah.
Wait, do you mean the first time when they rescue John Cusack on the runway when he
Yes.
gets the map?
Slow down!
Oh,
as the
fuck
earth
you.
crumbles below
Fuck
the plane.
you. That was
Okay.
so stupid.
As he, number one, tries to go through the maps to find the right one instead of just picking up all of the maps
Yeah.
and running out like a fucking asshole. And then I do not believe that John Cusack caught that plane. I don't
No,
believe
not
that
a
No
person.
way.
Because he would have
made
been
that
a
run?
kilometer up the runway at that point.
Yeah. So
And
bullshit.
the disaster behind him was like barreling towards him. There's no fucking way.
Look,
Yeah.
the ignorance of this film, it could be its own essay.
Yeah, they don't know how fast Ash fucking moves. It's very fast.
I also love that the big disaster starts in L.A. and
Yeah.
ends in Washington, because America.
America. Oh boy.
Well, the disaster ends in Africa, where they restart civilization,
True.
Yeah.
which I thought was kind of poetic.
Africa rises from the ocean.
in the most like obvious pandery ways. Like this movie makes 100% does things that make you
100%.
cringe. Like what was the one I called? There was one that like the aircraft carrier being dropped on the White House was both cringeworthy and I kind of liked it. I was like, sure, film, go for a bit of like poetry. Like that's how Danny Glover dies. Daniel
aircraft-
Looking
Oh, right. Yes.
the whole aircraft carrier. But
Right.
there was something else too where they did something really obvious that I called it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so mad at you." Anyway, you can.
The other irony of today.
Oh, sorry, I remembered before you go, Sean. Which is that when we watched the calamity happening in the Sistine Chapel, and the crack goes between the hands of God and Jesus. I called it right before it happened, and then I booed the screen.
Me and Marisa
Yeah,
laughed
yeah.
out loud at that point. It was so fucking
There were
silly.
a lot of
Yeah.
those corny laugh out loud.
Oh my
moments.
god.
I was going to say the other irony of watching 2012 today, of all days, is I commented to myself when Danny Glover he's made peace with the fact that he's going to go down with his country, and then there's hundreds of sick and wounded in the White House. So I was like, oh, the president has opened the White House to the sick and needy. What a wonderful gesture. Imagine the current president allowing people into the government buildings today. And then, like, on Clockwork, Aaron was like, oh, so they've stormed this Capitol building and Trump told them to do it.
Whoopsie. I wish Donnie. What's wrong with me? I wish
Donnie
Danny
Darko?
Glover. I wish Danny Glover was our president. It'd be great.
Yeah, president. That's what I have his character name as, because I don't know who these people's names are.
Yeah,
In the movie?
Yeah, he's President Danny Glover.
he doesn't have a name.
Okay.
So the thing I want to get to though about the story of this movie though is that one, I kind of actually like the setup more than I remember as well. I thought like how they prep that it's about like believing science is like refreshing, honestly, even in a movie, and that it's like this progressive thing. And I enjoyed it more, even though it's like clearly bananas. I wrote down a line that it was like the neutrinos have mutated into a new kind of nuclear particle and they're acting like microwaves. And I just fucking laughed. I was like,
I wrote that exact quote down too.
You had to
So
sneak in
silly.
a bit of scientific nonsense. What's troubling is that the movie really leans into conspiracies where mass global things are hidden, are totally real.
Yeah.
Like this one, you know?
Oh, bud. Like whoever wrote Woody Harrelson into this movie needs to. And did Roland Emmerich write this film? Did anyone?
I think it was just directed by. I don't.
It was
think
just
it was
directed
written
by. Okay,
I'm
so
on
who,
it.
like, okay, get there. Whoever wrote this film, like the opening of the scene just felt like a movie that was written in the screenwriting class I took in second year. Well, Daniel's got an answer.
It was Ronald Emmerich and
Guys.
Roland Emmerich, and Harold Closer.
Cool. So this was just Independence Day, but also 2012, right?
Right.
We had all our little groups of people who are all connected in some way. This is also New Year's Eve, I guess, and Independence Day. But it seemed like a bit of a script recycling.
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah. I like this movie. It's really miserable. 2012. I thought, because I saw this in theaters like years ago.
Oh,
Which is
what
like
a
the way
horrible
you're.
date.
It's the way you should
was a
see
date.
this movie. Let's be real.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. But I I thought I remembered, like, it's been long enough that I forgot a lot of the points. I thought I remembered the cruise, like, I thought I remembered the people on the cruise ship. There's like another B plot of Chiwetel Ejiofor's dad. Is like, he's actually like the fun relationship of these two jazz musicians on the boat. I actually like them a lot. The phone call between
He's the best actor in the film.
that, I was like tearing up. That was they were great.
It was devastating.
Yeah.
It was the shining moment of the film.
Yeah.
My
And that's
brain
like-
had already tuned out by that point. I was like,
Oh, I'm
damn.
sorry. It was really good.
That
it was
was
beautiful.
like the 95-minute mark after 27 things had exploded in front of my face. My brain couldn't take anymore.
Right.
You mean the entire western coast of North America crumbling into the sea?
Exploding at the same time.
Yep. That's
But I
exactly
thought
what
I
mean.
remembered the people on the cruise ship living. I thought there was a sort of sub-happy B plot where they survived being out in the ocean. And then it really quickly is just like, no, boat tip, everyone die again. And I was like, oh, I don't know if we needed that.
Yeah.
I also
Especially
don't know if
because
that's how...
their ship was called the Genesis. So I was like, oh, so you're setting up. So I guess the ship's name was just them setting up that there are arcs for the furthering of humanity.
I
later.
guess so.
Or something.
But I also don't think that's how tsunamis work, unless I'm wrong. Like, a tsunami out in the ocean isn't going to be a massive wave necessarily. Am I wrong in that? Like,
no, it's going to be a huge wave, and if you're horizontal to that wave, you're going to get rocked.
yeah, but they get biggest closer to the shore. Once the shoreline creeps
Then
up,
it's all
then
down there?
then the water pushes up and rises. Like, that's how they work. That's how waves work. Period.
Right. But this is not just a tsunami. This is a super tsunami.
Yeah, super.
Yeah.
And there's two quakes that happen. I know it's like it's supposed to be beyond anything that's
Super
we've ever
quakes.
seen. Super quakes, man. So I don't know, but I enjoyed the setup and stuff, and a bit more than I remembered, and it just went too long, and they did it too many times, and then at the end they just crap out, and they literally are just like, and then they landed their plane in the right place, and helicopters fly over them.
What
And I was
happened to
like-
the Russian guy? I wasn't paying attention around that point.
He
I think he
threw
got
his second
squashed?
kid. What? Which
When he
Russian
gets
guy?
squashed, the big
Russian,
fat
like-
Russian dude, Yuli.
Yeah, the big Yuri.
who I love.
Yuletide.
Oh, good, very good. Yes.
I used to be a boxer.
Yeah. But what happened to him? What happened? Oh my God!
There's been the whole drama of the back of the ark not being able to close, and they were like, whatever, they open it, but him and his sons get stuck underneath it because they climb down, and then they climb up as it's closing, and he feeds one son over, and then the other son isn't quite enough, so he has like this adrenaline moment, and he throws his other son up to the guy on it, and in doing so, he falls to his death. So it's actually, again, quite moving.
All right. I liked him better than his sons, so I would have swapped.
Oh, the sons were the worst people in this movie.
The sons I thought were like a funny idea, which was like
Yes,
terribly
yeah,
executed.
yeah.
I saw
Fair
them and I
enough.
was like, oh, this is gonna be great. And then they opened their mouth and I was like, fuck you, little fucking fat
Yeah.
bitches.
Ugh.
That's what I said.
Can anyone explain to me? So the end of this movie is that it turns out all of the billionaires have helped to raise money to prepare for the event, which is a thing that they are really preparing for as well. Whatever it may be. So they build these giant arcs, these like super like defensive
With giraffes.
boats with all of animals left to rebuild, the whole world of animals and all that kind of stuff on them. And they have them in the side of a mountain in China because communism ends up saving the day. Oopsies. So, and then they have them inside these like very safely closed off doors, like battle doors, in the side of this mountain. But then as the wave is approaching, they have to open the doors and expose the arcs out and then lock them in so they can get hit by the wave.
So, Jack-
why wouldn't they just be behind and then Sean, help me.
Jack, these are super accelerated neutrinos. What we're talking about here.
They
And
mutated?
They've mutated. These light particles have mutated, and they're physically altering the state of the Earth's core. So, movie happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Actually, that really clears that up.
Yep. Thought it would. Where's my $700 million, please?
Yeah, I just thought it was like lazy manufacturing of more drama, which I didn't need. I was like, I don't like.
But didn't you like
stopped
the
caring by
underwater
end.
stuff?
The underwater? No.
Well, wasn't that the whole
Terrible.
idea that they wanted the arcs to end up underwater so they could surface after the main thing?
Yeah.
And if they had opened up the doors to release the arcs after the flood, then that tunnel would have been flooded. So they had to put them on the outside of the rock face.
Yep.
I'm coming. I didn't think that in the moment. I'm coming up with that right now, but it sounds
yeah.
pretty legit.
I just thought it was. I just thought it was weird.
Daniel,
And,
have you ever thought of a career as a movie defendant?
Many times actually. My big question for this whole film actually was, I wonder what the Mayan or like the Mexican people now think of this movie, or thought about the movie when it came out.
Apparently everything, like all the theories about the 2012 thing are massively like poorly
Bullshit.
understood. Yeah, like it's not what they were saying. So
Well, no, the whole
outraged.
thing is that just a phase of their calendar, I think,
Yeah.
ended in 2012, and then it just marked the start of a new phase of their calendar.
Yeah.
And then the internet ran with that, and it became this huge thing.
Well, and this movie also put up web pages talking about like Google 2012 if you don't believe it, and linking, and people were finding these weird conspiracy websites and falling victim to that, but also kids were saying like, I'm having suicidal thoughts because I don't want to face 2012. It's horrifying.
Why?
So like this movie,
That's criminal.
right?
Oh my god.
That's so bad.
But also, I feel like if they are going to propagate that conspiracy theory so much, then explain it a little more in the movie. Just saying galactic event.
There's an alignment of
New-
celestial
Daniel,
bodies.
they're accelerated
But-
neutrinos.
They're
Okay,
mutated.
Okay, yeah, right.
They're
Like
mutated.
microwaves.
Lining up
They're
with
becoming
Saturn
microwaves.
helped them mutate, and so it's
Should we
But-
move
but-
on to the next category? This
But
movie's-
hold on. But if the whole idea with 2012 was that it was actually introducing like a new unknown planet into our galactic alignment or something. It wasn't just like lining up
What?
with Saturn. That
Oh,
wasn't.
fuck, that's weird.
what?
A
new planet.
Planet fucking, what was it? Nibiru. It sounded like a Star Trek. I don't know much about it.
Naboo?
I was gonna,
What?
I was
Now
gonna
this
do
is
way,
pod racing.
I was gonna do. I was gonna do way more research about this, but I'm pretty
I did not
sure
catch that.
that was part of it. It was that all of our planets were gonna line up with like this other planet that was outside of our solar system
Okay.
or something. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Let us know in the comments.
So which is
Oh,
it? Is
my.
it the alignment of the celestial bodies, or is it the major solar flare? Like,
Well,
what?
it takes a Taurus to know a Taurus, okay?
Sean, I swear to God, with you right now.
Sean, you're fired, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah, this isn't pod racing. This is podcasting.
Shit, that's good.
And that marks the end of round one.
Yeah, ding ding. Okay,
Ding, ding.
ding ding. I know, Dan, you talked about putting a sound effect, but I think us
Yeah,
just saying
don't
ding,
do it with
ding,
your mouth. No.
No, now
I
you
have
have
a
to
whole
edit
thing
this.
planned.
So
Sons of
round
bitches.
2. Let's talk about looks good. So
Ooh,
touched on
was,
this. Huh?
This was a tough one.
Oh yeah. I
Because
mean,
okay, so here is my problem.
yeah.
2012 got the George Lucas treatment, where everything is CGI all the time. But
Yeah.
1984 kind of looked like a fucking Canadian Heritage Minute.
Hey, so I'm gonna stop you right there and say Roger Deakins is one of the greatest cinematographers that's ever lived.
Yeah, which is why I was so disappointed when this movie started. I saw Roger Deakins on the
well,
credits, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Don't blame him
my-
for cameras in 1984.
No, but how
I
they
can
use
blame
the
him for
cameras
lighting
isn't that
and
great either.
the use of the camera.
Oh, I disagree. There were some shots there that were beautiful.
I'm pretty sure the frame rate was wrong for this movie.
Like,
It looked like it was shot in Canada. You know how like there's a difference between American TV and Canadian TV, and a lot of it seemed like Canadian TV kind of looks like
This
it
is
was
the
shot.
segment where Daniel makes fun of Canadian entertainment.
No, but you know how like Canadian TV almost kind of looks like it's shot
Yes, we have
on like a
very
soap opera soundstage.
a CBC aesthetic. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Which is like this got like the 1984 CBC aesthetic treatment.
It's like the BBC treatment. It's like a
Yeah, it's
1984.
it's
Yeah,
a bit more.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. A bit more. But to your point, Roger Deakins is one of the best DPs to ever live. What the fuck happened?
Yeah, like
I liked
okay.
it.
Yeah,
Of course you did.
I liked parts of it because I thought it really was. We talk about how it told its story, and it was a very like it was visual storytelling, which I really appreciated, and I think some sound stuff too, which we'll get into. But like, again, because what I already mentioned, like it's just showing us that snippet of that dystopia instead of explaining it. But I agree, Sean, there were beautiful shots, but I'm talking more. I think Dan was agreeing with me on that point as well. Like they're great shots, but like there's no exciting use of camera that I can remember. It's just like hard, and maybe that was a choice because everyone's under surveillance by these like still cameras that are secretly planted everywhere apparently in this world or something. I don't know, but I found the cameras were often like sometimes I felt too close. Like I wanted to see more of the cafeteria, but they were like right up on John Hurt still. But I wanted to see.
They were going for claustrophobia for sure. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like they were trying to do that still. It just felt like they really overbit on the like, let's make every element of this movie the core element of the movie when we needed some space. I think I maybe see what they were maybe trying to do, but I don't know. But I liked that it was it was like all like very practically made for the most part. That was really cool, but I think they compensated for that. Again, the claustrophobia, I think, is also them really keeping it close because they only built so much to keep it practical. Also,
yeah, it definitely had a bit of a low budget feel.
Restrictions.
I will say there are two things visually really stuck out to me in this movie. One was just the sweeping shots of the crowd during like the big eruption scenes in the theaters.
Crowd scenes were insane.
So unsettling.
The MAGA rally scenes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Damn, that was.
I thought
freaky,
those
eh?
were really, really powerful. And I thought they did. I didn't care for the extended torture sequence at the end.
Holy shit.
But
it went on, eh?
It went on, and to no real point past we're going to torture you till you break. Like you get it, and it doesn't really go anywhere except we're just going to watch this guy suffer for a while. But I will say that they did a phenomenal job, and maybe this is also on the part of John Hurt. Hurt. The makeup they gave him and the way they transform him for the torture bed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That so good.
You end this movie empty inside because of watching him transform like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then some of the design stuff, like even some of the rooms, like when he goes to see, I think O'Brien is his name, the guy who approaches
Richard
him.
Burton? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know, but yes. Who invites him to his nicer place and has a servant and and they drink wine. He doesn't know how to like drink. He just like, he gulps it down like it's the gin. Like, he just like shoots it.
Victory gin. Yeah.
Yeah. But like even like, I know it's like seems weird, but like the design of that room was like weird and tacky. Like it
kind of cheap.
Kind of cheap. To Dan's like, cheap is the word you're looking for. Thank you, Dan.
It is a soundstage. Yeah. It's a BBC soundstage.
Yeah, it's a BBC soundstage. That I just
was this movie made by the BBC?
No, but I'm just guessing they're using their equipment or something. I don't know.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know. Whereas, so I liked that they did it practically, but I just wish what they did with the practical effects made me feel more energized. Not even like having a good time, because this movie isn't about that, but just that it gave me a bit more. It was so draining to look at. I think I kind of enjoyed the shot, for example, of after one of the awesome sex scenes, of course, where they're just like standing there naked with their arms around each other and they're listening to the woman singing in the courtyard below. And it just like lingers in a way that's really like beautiful. As we hear them, I think they're talking out loud, but we can't see their mouths. Like, it's just one of those things where like they made a bold choice and I thought it really paid off.
But then that moment is immediately followed by them getting caught in like the most underwhelming climax of a film I've ever seen.
Yeah, sci-fi B movie style, like
The ladder breaks through the window, and a guy is like,
the painting falls off the wall, and there's a screen and whatever.
As
yeah.
the voice is just like repeating everything awkwardly that the two of them are saying in the room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which I didn't
the
really
house is
understand.
surrounded. The house
The
is
house is
surrounded.
surrounded.
They've heard what we said. We've heard what you said.
I kind
Yeah,
of found
I-
that effective, to be honest, but that's the sound, maybe.
It went from
Yeah.
effective to silly, like
It was a
real
bit
fast.
silly. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that we touched on this earlier, but I think that they did a really good job of establishing the world visually.
Yeah.
But it was like drab and simple to the point of boring for
Yes.
me.
Sure,
Unfortunately.
I will posit as a counterpoint to that, and I haven't made a definitive choice between these films yet.
Between?
But between these films, but counterpoint is the excess of 2012.
Yes. My God.
I refuse your counterpoint.
Oh, great talk! I'll see you next week.
Well, yes, okay, yes, absolutely. But I will argue your argument by saying that 2012 is excessive, but fucking had some really exciting moments. I was
Yeah.
far more gripped by 2012, which
Definitely
had
gripped.
everything to do with the visuals,
Yep.
far more than I was 1984.
The
I was
visuals carry the movie.
I was gripped
No, they do.
for
They do.
a solid hour 10 of this 2-hour 45-minute film.
That's
And
almost
then-
the entirety of 1984, though.
Yes. So I was almost gripped for almost all of 1984. I loved that first escape scene, as we mentioned.
Yeah.
It's stunning and
It's horrifying.
horrifying, and
Like, it
I
hits
put
the right
myself in the
points.
places of these characters that I did not connect to on any level, but for like 2 minutes here and there, I dropped in and experienced their adventure, and that's only because of how it looked.
Yep.
There are also moments where they're like being pulled away, where he's running against the plane, or when the tsunami's going over and we're seeing the thing behind the protagonist's shoulder, where the green screen effect is dreadful. It's like prequel Star Wars bad.
Well, yeah, that's what I said about the George Lucas treatment. Like,
Yeah.
whenever it's just people like doing stuff with destruction happening in the background, it's a train wreck. But I will say, yeah, I cared more about the people in 2012 because their lives were constantly in danger.
They're all
I-
assholes. That's for acting.
Hey,
What?
John Cusack is
He's
a
an
hero
asshole.
in
What?
this movie
What?
and in real life. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'll come back. I'll circle
Yeah,
back to it in
where are we
acting.
going?
But
Wait, I hear what you're
I didn't
saying,
care
Sean,
about
for
Winston.
sure.
I disagree with what you're saying, Sean.
Sure.
I didn't care about
Fight.
Winston either. That was a problem with 1984, and I don't know how much of that is a visual thing, but a bunch of it was a story thing. Is that like I didn't care about him. Miranda just thought he was like a robot, boring, and I was like, that's kind of what he's like. He can't show any emotion
Yeah, but
because it's
Winston, yeah.
dangerous. So it's like it's weird because it is a movie about a robot man
Yeah.
until the end when he like.
But
feels-
they
you
don't
see something.
do anything to get us on board with his struggle, like his internal struggle to maintain his humanity. So by the time we get to him getting tortured, the torture scene is very disconcerting, but just because you're watching a human get tortured,
I
not
don't-
because
I
you
disagree-
care at all.
I
I wasn't
disagree with
invested in
that.
Winston at all.
Wait, is this a looks question?
I mean,
Well,
it's-
it is because my argument is that the looks allowed me to be invested in the characters in 2012
All right.
because there's so much chaos and destruction. The stakes are at 1,000 the entire time. Their lives are constantly in danger. They're constantly dodging fires and boulders
Right.
and tsunami. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that like both movies have their dangers, right? That they're dodging, and certainly more like nuanced what they're dodging in 1984. Like you really have to pick up on, oh, like that was actually a really close moment. Like that was really dangerous what they just
Yeah.
did, right? That they went out into the country and met in the woods.
I kept worrying that the woman who was singing the songs was going to look up and see them together and be like, "Oh!" Like every time they were in front of that window, I was like, "Get the fuck down!"
Yeah, so the stakes are just like different, but this tricky thing is that like 1984 is about people who have been like they're not even human anymore, and then they're trying to cling to that little part of humanity left inside of them, whereas like 2012 had the benefit of people who are like fully human, trying to preserve their humanity. This is like a different. So how they interact with their surroundings is different.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I actually kind of found that this might not be a looks comment, but I found that things seemed to come too easy to the people in 1984, and therefore I got less and less worried about their safety until they were caught.
Were you actually worried for John Cusack in the last 40 minutes?
No, I knew that
no.
John Cusack and his entire family were going to live, but it's about the moment to moment suspense of watching them escape what is supposed to be certain death. It's just the excitement joyride of it as opposed to being, you know what I mean? But like the fact that 1984 Julia and Winston go into the forest and there's like no sign of real danger. You know it's kind of looming, but they don't really dodge anything. They don't have to really hide.
That's more commentary on the facade of the state, that their control does not go out that far, and it's only a lie that is keeping them from adventuring too often.
Here's a visual thing that I think 1984 really needed that they missed. That's in the book, and I noticed that they didn't have, and I really missed that they didn't have it.
More boobs.
More boobs, more bush.
Yeah.
No, they needed to show us the stakes more. Like this is kind of what we're talking about, Dan. Like we needed to know that these little things that they were doing were so dangerous. And to do that, what we needed to see is people like, it was all in the news,
it was all on screens. We saw the executions. We hear
which is not enough. We needed to see someone be disappeared. And there's a really interesting moment. We saw the character. I think it must have ended up on the cutting room floor because we see him in the first cafeteria scene. He's a sort of. There are no friends in this world, I think, but a colleague he has glasses on and he's talking about it's a guy who's working on reducing the language. He's like it's really quite fascinating, like how we're by next year we're gonna be down to 10,000 words or whatever. Like it's that kind of thing. And in the book, John Hurt's character, I forget the name of him. I always forget character names.
Winston.
But Winston, he's thinking about him and he's like, he'll never make it. He's way too smart. Like he's way too intelligent. And then in the later part in the book, he's like, he just notices that guy is gone.
Yeah.
And as the protocol is, you don't talk about how he's gone. He's just gone. In fact, he never existed. It's like he's just disappeared now, right? He's a traitor. And we needed that scene. I think really desperately. We needed to know.
It's a really good visual scene that would have
you know what I mean?
Made all of that.
Well, that's a good point because when
the empty chair, you know what I mean? Or like that he brings 3 gin glasses because he's used to pouring them 3 glasses, and then the other guy look at each other and they have this weird conversation, not acknowledging the fact that this guy isn't there. Like we needed that scene so badly, I think.
Well, they do show the scene of him revising history about that guy winning the chess match or whatever it was, and kind of writing him out of history, but I was confused because I had no idea why they would do that because they've only set that guy up as like a pivotal part of their structure, right?
Especially when everyone's wearing the same jumpsuits, everyone looks the same. They've all been like conformed because that is this world. Everyone is brought down to their like non-individual self, but that therefore means we don't really have the ability to follow individuals outside of John Hurt's character. So, yeah.
And it's just all the examples they gave us were too abstracted from the main character himself.
Yep.
They were too many steps away. You know what I mean? It needed to be someone in his circle who was like, oh, like that person or those people are just gone. Or you watch someone, like whatever it is, we needed something, I think.
Yeah. Well, shall we ding, ding, ding?
Ding, 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 I think.
Go to your corners.
My whole plan, man. I was going to make this sound so good.
Now you can ding, ding, ding.
Okay, ready.
Ding, ding, ding now.
Silence on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Ding, ding.
No, Dan.
Daniel.
I'll
He's
figure
like,
it out.
silence. Okay. So next round, we're going to jump into sound. Sound good? Sound good? Dan, what do you think? But whatever movie you want.
So for all of the gripes that I had about the visuals of 1984, I think that it made up for it regained some ground with its soundscape. I think it had a really effective use of the media. For example, the fact that instead of having a soundtrack, they had kind of like this What is your face?
Okay, first
Sean's
of all,
hamming up for doing something.
no, I want to know what edition you watched, because the one I watched is the one with the Eurythmics soundtrack, and it's fucking horrible.
The Eurythmics soundtrack?
Yeah, so
Like
I looked up on it because I was like, why is the sound in this film so bad? And there are two cuts now. They made it and originally had like orchestral backings.
That's what I watched.
That a guy had made for it.
Might be the one that I watched.
Okay, so then Richard Branson and Virgin Media funded the film, and Virgin had final yes or no on the cut. And they were like, no, we have the Eurythmics signed to our label, so they're doing the soundtrack for this film. And the one I watched had the Eurythmics soundtrack, and it's fucking awful.
Well, why
The
did you
Eurythmics
do
is
that,
Sean?
Because I didn't know. I didn't know there was another cut when I watched it.
I told you there was a...
Is this a band, the Eurythmics?
Yeah, they're like
So it
an
has like
80s synth band,
lyrical
aren't they?
songs.
No, it doesn't have lyricals. They don't use the lyrical bits of songs. They released like an album afterwards called like 1984. That was all their songs.
Gross.
But it's new wave synth percussion pop.
Not at all the version I watched. I watched a version with orchestral soundtracks and Czech subtitles for some reason.
Yeah, that's the one I watched. Very tasteful.
Very legal.
Very tasteful use of scoring. It was completely legal. Very tasteful use of scoring in the one I watched. And even though the other main sound thing, which is just the constant screens and like the constant propaganda, as much as it was like, oh my God, like it grinds into a bit, like that's the point. Like it did its job really well.
It's so effective. There's very minimal use of actual music, except what really stood out to me was the just overwhelming patriotic songs that were that the film opened and closed with.
Yeah,
which were so powerful for the point of the moment and the movie. But then also, instead of having a soundtrack, you have just this constant kind of droning of the media telling you what to think constantly, which I thought was really effective. So that, again, going back to this kind of world building thing, which is where I think that if we're talking about sound objectively, they did that really well, because their whole thing was, we're going to build this universe and have just kind of place you in this world for an hour or two.
Yeah, where like no one's speaking that much. It's not about dialogue. Like it's not about people's conversations, because the conversations are kind of fake anyway a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. Like it's just about what you're saying, Dan, for sure.
But I also felt, I mean, I will yes, but I also think, or found myself wondering if the entire film had been ADR'd, because there was something weird about the actual dialogue audio, and I don't know if that was just the mics they were using. But I mean, again, kind of in line with the BBC kind of treatment of it, I think it's also just like the equipment they had, right?
The one like really great auditory experience I had to mark down was when the old man in the shop says he's got something else in another room and he wants to bring him to it. There's footsteps and creaks, and the sound in that moment crystallized how just war-torn this house this guy lives in is. And I was really like focused on that for that segment for whatever reason. So I had to write down that.
Great. Whereas in 2012, Boom Smash, Scream.
Let me
Boom
read you
Smash?
my one note for sounds in 2012.
Do it.
Blockbuster.
Hey, it's really clean. Like it's
Yep.
clean sound editing work. Like it all matches the visuals really well.
Yeah.
And the visuals are over the top. So like that's pretty impressive. Like that takes real skill to be like, you need to make the sound of a tidal wave flipping a cruise ship and people are dying.
Yeah.
That's a very craftful
The
thing.
design is
to
cool
do.
in this film, I guess.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, but generic to the point of forgettability, we'll say.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I will also point out, I lied when I said it was my only note. I had to take one more sound note for this film, and it's the president saying to the world leaders, "The world as we know it will soon come to an end," and immediately coming in with the shooing sound of.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That's
boy.
when they throw it to China, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So they
Yeah,
had to
it's
get
like
the
a
like
ninja
Asian
sting.
flute, like wah, wah, wah,
Yeah.
wah. Yeah.
It's a terrible Asian flute, by the way, Sean. You should work on that.
Okay.
Yeah, work on that for the
Yeah.
for the podcast.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
We're
our
doing a
next
new
intro.
outro coming up later this season. It's going to be all Sean's Asian flute beatboxing.
I already have my sitar down.
Yeah. Perfect. I mean, end of round. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about these two movies. I mean, I can't remember anything from the soundscape of 2012 except, like Sean said, boom smash.
Actually, I said that.
I remember Sean saying
No,
it. Actually.
I actually said that. What you have never said that, and we'll never.
You have an
said
alternative fact.
that. Well,
So, Dan.
Jack, you simply don't exist. You never existed.
All right,
Ding,
sweet.
ding, ding.
So, edit the sound here. There it is. Round 4. I'm excited for this one, actually. Acting good? Acting good?
yeah.
What do you mean, Sean?
Yeah,
Acting good
yes,
where?
across the board, acting good. I don't know. I'm trying to get the ball rolling.
Get the ball rolling. I will say
Well,
I thought Julia was
yeah.
fantastic. 1984. I thought Julia was great in it.
Yeah.
I think John Hurt did the role, and he did it
Yep.
well because he is John Hurt. I don't think he was fantastic. I will say I loved Richard Burton because Richard Burton is just one of those actors that I've always liked watching. I've always liked watching on screen for some reason.
Put it away.
That was
Sean.
O'Brien, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I thought he was fine. I thought Julia was great. I thought that Winston or John Hurt was great once things ramped up for him. I thought that once he was captured and tortured and all that bit was
Yeah.
hard to watch. It was so good. But everything else, I was like, nah.
He did the role.
Kind of. Yeah, but I think I don't know if it. Again, it's weird because I don't like that. It's hard not to tear this movie away from the book and go, well, in the book, but like, because I don't even remember what it was like in the book necessarily. But I just wanted him to like come out of his shell more with Julia, so that you saw like. I just want, like, again, Miranda was sitting next to me being like, he sucks. Like, he's just like this. He doesn't give a shit about her. He doesn't like,
Yeah.
he doesn't know what he can't, he's not, if he does, I don't know. Like, I just wanted it to be clearer because it would have made it more heartbreaking if, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
You
that's
know
what I'm saying.
trying to I'm rambling,
I needed more of a duality between Party Winston and Rebel Wilson, or you know what I mean?
Rebel Wilson is a person.
I think there is a big distinction between those two.
Between
You
Party Winston
guys
and Rebel
fucking
Wilson.
know what I meant. Did I say Rebel Wilson?
You did.
I say Rebel Wilson?
You absolutely
oh shit, Rebel
did.
You
Winston.
straight
Rebel
up said
Winston.
Rebel Wilson. It's not your fault. It's a name
No,
that once you start saying
but I-
it just finishes.
But like
Yeah.
I think that's the point that the film is trying to make is that
Boo.
no. There is
Yeah,
no
boo, Sean.
there is no rebel
Boo.
there is no rebel will fuck. It's hard. There's no Rebel Winston until the morning of their capture. Before that, there is just someone who doesn't understand how to have these conflicting emotions and survive in this world, knowing that he's doing things that go against what the state has said is acceptable, but he loves it too much to give it up. That's just like a guy that we want to watch. There's no rebel until he realizes that he's been lied to all his life.
Yeah, I guess, and I needed to see. I don't know what this means, but I needed to see more of that struggle happening with him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like this movie was very much
Yeah,
things happen. We just watch like a straight faced character make certain decisions, and we infer how he's feeling from them, as opposed to.
Sure. Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
We
I
want to
just
see
need
the
more
scene.
acting.
We want to see the scene where Julia falls asleep on his shoulder as he's reading the book that he's just been given, and he's looking at the truth and going like, "Holy shit, my life has been a lie up till now."
Mm-hmm.
And then we have their arrest scene. Yeah, that's fair.
I just want to I want him to be walking back from their first encounter in the forest, and I want him to smile.
Yes.
Like I just want and to see in his face that him just smiling as he's thinking about something that isn't what he's supposed to think about is scary and exciting. Like I just needed a little bitty witty of something because the movie is very ungracious in what it gives us, right? It's again leaning on the if you've read the prerequisite materials,
However,
you know that inside
the jail cell scene is beautiful. Start where the guy comes in and the guy he knows
other
comes
guy?
in, and you watch
Yeah.
him go through the different phases of accepting that he's probably going to be killed because he thought something once that was bad. And his daughter
Where he
was
talks about the fact that he is an ally of Goldstein and didn't even realize
Yeah,
it until his
his
daughter figured it out.
proud of her for
Yeah,
it.
he was brilliant.
Holy
he was
shit.
brilliant.
I recognize him too. I recognize him from something, but he.
Yeah, and then he
yeah,
tries
like,
to
that
sell
was
out,
great.
and then when it's all like he knows he's done for, he still tries to sell out Winston. Says like, "No, you got to take him. He's the thought criminal." And you're like, even after acceptance, you're still flailing, trying for something. Oh, it was horrible.
Well, it's because he knows he's heading to room 101.
Yeah,
And everybody knows what's in room 101.
Yeah.
I did not.
Nobody
put
Which
him
was
on
also
that.
petrifying. Yeah, room 101 with the rats and shit. Fuck that.
Oh, fuck
movie.
Yo,
That
it's
was
the worst. I
brutal.
was dreading that scene coming up, and yeah, they captured it about right.
Oh boy.
It's horrifying. Which is like the majority of what the torture scene needed to be. Like I don't know, but whatever. They wanted to do a third of the movie as that for whatever reason.
Also, did anybody else see any similarities between the torture scene in this movie and the torture scene in Princess Bride?
Yes, when he talks about yes, I wrote that down.
The meter goes up to
Right.
Yeah.
Which came first?
Totally.
Like
That's what I was wondering. I think it was this movie.
Daniel, get on it.
Which made... Okay, I'm on it.
Go, Daniel. Go, boy. Go.
On it. On it.
Jack, how you doing?
good. Can I transition while he's looking to some 2012
Transition,
stuff?
baby.
I overall have a couple notes that I would blanketly say that I rather enjoyed a vast majority of the performances in 2012.
Princess Bride 1987.
Wow. So Princess Bride is commenting on 1984. I guess maybe. Wait, one could
it
write
seems like it.
an essay about that.
Ooh, separate podcast?
Separate podcast. Movie essays.
Separate podcast?
Separate podcast.
Separate podcast?
Daniel. Separate podcast. Now he's gone.
I'm on it.
Okay. he's our gopher.
That's the guy. But yeah, in general, I enjoyed the majority of the performances in 2012. I thought they really played the circumstances and the stakes really well. Even the kids were really good, I thought.
Yeah.
Sometimes kids can be the worst. Not the Russian kids, but like John Cusack's kids.
Yeah, those kids sucked.
The Russian
The
kids.
Russian kids.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Whereas like the central kids were quite good, actually. And I thought John Cusack was great. I thought he was really good in this movie. I laughed. It was satisfying, and it really broke the tension of just like the dread of the scenes and like of him running. He's driven all the way back in his limo to pick up his family, and they're like, I think it's safer like under the table, and he just like screams at them like, get in the car now. And it like made me laugh out loud quite hard because it was so satisfying.
Right.
And he does it again later when they're near the end and they're trying to unclog the thing with the gears and the yada yada. And he also yells something back where he's like, "Hey, Winston," like, or like, not Winston, like, "Hey, like, you know, so like, we can see you," and he's like, "That's great!" Like he just like yells something back at them. That like were just like really satisfying. They felt like really in the moment. Like I liked him. I thought Woody Harrelson was himself essentially, being
I have to
ridiculous and
fight
crazy.
you. I have to. Woody
It was
Harrelson
crazy.
in this movie was terrible.
I mean,
How fucking dare you?
He was
Sean?
I don't know. I
awful.
disagree.
He
No,
was
he-
so
but he wasn't.
bad. Oh, guys.
but he wasn't though. I mean,
no, but like he was off the leash. He was running up like in
but
every
that's classic
direction.
Woody Harrelson.
No, but at least like in other films, it's earned, and he get like the writing supports it. But like, there's no good dialogue in this film, so
no.
when you're letting Woody Harrelson just go crazy with your bad writing, I don't know. I could not stand
Look,
him.
Well, that doesn't mean he did a bad job. That just means that you hate fun. Woody Harrelson, there are people like that totally exist.
Ooh. No, like it's like
what?
It's a total stereotype. It's an absolute stereotype, Daniel. This film is stereotypes, and
Yeah,
this
it's pretty-
is a stereotype that they are enforcing to. Oh, the kook in the woods who was right all along. I hated it. I hated it.
But I thought he did it well.
He did
like,
do it
he was
well.
clearly playing the stereotype, and he did it
Ugh.
well. Like,
Look at somebody
Ugh.
like Alex Jones, for example,
Yeah.
and tell me that people like Woody Harrelson's character in this movie don't exist.
No,
Not
but
the same
Alex
kind
Jones
of
isn't
person,
going to
but,
be
but
out on the mountaintop screaming as the world ends. Alex Jones is going to be buying his way onto one of those boats.
but some people will be.
if Alex Jones didn't have the money or the access to the technology to reach his wider audience that he has, he'd be the guy out in the woods with a fucking tinfoil hat on, broadcasting from his RV.
No, he'd just be a
Let's-
guy in
let's-
his basement.
Let's not make any more of this
whatever.
podcast about Alex Jones.
No?
You know, fuck that guy.
I'm just saying it's part of my argument that people like Woody Harrelson's character totally fucking exist. Look at all the fucking people that stormed the Capitol today. Okay?
None of them are kooks like that. None of them are that
Ooh, we'll see.
stereotypical. I don't
What?
like. They're all batshit, sure, but none of them are run onto the
Did you-
mountaintop doing that. No,
What?
they save themselves.
Did you see the
save their
photos
lives.
and the videos of the
Congress
people
today.
doing it? That was the biggest group of stereotypes I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I-
So you
I
can
don't think-
imagine the person who's been inciting them who lives off the grid in his trailer.
Right. Well, he
And
lives in
look,
the White House.
But look, Woody Harrelson aside, I in general was I was impressed that the people were selling the scenes. I thought what they were reacting to matched up with like what they were showing us really well, which is hard in a movie with this much CGI. Like people were freaking out in a way that I was like, that's pretty good freaking out. Or people like kind of like panically and like as they're like barely flying a plane through a thing, and they're like, and then just like making like nervous sounds and stuff like that. I thought it was generally quite good, with the exception of the hit or miss Russian pilot who was like, I like you in this line, and I hate you on that line.
Yeah.
Oh, I
liked you in this line.
hated Russian Pilot.
Yeah, his accent was atrocious, but I loved
So
Russian.
bad.
Definitely
I
not
loved
a Russian person.
no, but I loved the Russian oligarch. His voice is incredible, and I thought he was great. I thought John Cusack was great. I thought Danny Glover read his lines in a way.
It was
that
so nice to see him in a movie.
It was great to see
Yeah,
him.
and he definitely
the jazz
read his
musicians were
lines.
great. Chiwetel was good. Like
Chiwetel was good. His uncle
the
was
guy
good.
in India was good with his family. Like I really appreciated his performance. Like there was a lot of really good performances in this movie that I think deserved due credit. Like I think they played the stakes of the movie really well, and I was invested in the people, like in a lot of people, like not just one or two. I was invested in a lot of people in this movie, and the number of scenes that are just like phone calls of just being like yeah, mom, yeah, I'll call you same time next week. Okay, bye bye. Like just like people saying goodbye to their loved one, like repeatedly in this movie, and I was like, oh, that one hurt too. Like fuck.
Oh, I became pretty desensitized to those scenes
Yeah.
real fast. After like two or three, I was like,
I have to agree
fuck
with
you,
Daniel
movie.
there.
Yeah, but you're speaking from the void of
Yeah,
darkness
you are.
over
You
there.
are
Dan.
in the.
These
in the
movies
black
put me
depths.
here.
It's true.
Okay?
Yay, 2021.
I have to I partially agree with you, Jack, that for the most part, everyone was definitely reacting to the circumstances. The better actors were reacting to their circumstances, absolutely. But there were some points in those plane scenes, and there were some points in those car scenes, and there were some points on those boats where the little like wise cracks for comedic break that don't quite hit the mark are just not reactions in this hyper dramatic moment that make any sense. And maybe that's the script writing, maybe not, that's not the acting, but they are still things that the actors did that were just stupid and broke me completely out of like being invested in them at any point.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I really liked Chiwetel.
Yes, he was great.
yeah.
I thought he was the best part
I
of this
think
movie.
I
think
good on Chiwetel for giving me someone to focus on, because everyone else
Yeah.
can go die in a horrible natural disaster. As far as
What?
I'm
Did you
concerned.
not like John Cusack in this movie?
No.
What?
Oh, he was
Why?
charming as fuck. Sean,
He's
what
an
happened to you, man?
asshole. The entire
What?
character is an asshole. He shouldn't have kids with him. He shouldn't
What do
be
you-
around other people.
What
Sean,
movie
what
did
do
you watch?
I watched
what are you
2012. He's a
talking about?
dreadful person.
He. What?
How?
Yes, he
What?
comes. He comes to
He-
the realization that he's been a bad dad, and he gets back together with Amanda Peet. I also liked the stepdad. I thought he was fun.
But John Cusack does like a 3-day Herculean effort of no sleeping to save his children. What? But what do you? No, but what?
No.
no. But what?
Yeah,
are you,
what's the
what are you
bad
talking
thing he
about?
does besides being divorced from Amanda Peet because he was
And
like
being a depressed
He's an
person.
asshole to
He was
everyone.
distant.
I mean, he's clearly
Who
not
is he an
earning-
asshole to?
Everybody in this film. He's just
Give
an
me
asshole.
2 examples. Give
I'm
me
not
2
go-
examples.
No, I stopped paying attention
Oh,
halfway through this
man.
film.
Okay,
Daniel,
well
I'm
then
not
fuck
gonna
off.
pick out- his character is he is an asshole, and he only comes to the realization in the last like 10 minutes of the film, and then he's with Amanda Peet again because stepdad died in the grinders of doom. So
Oh, I think, dude, what? I think you got fucking distracted by the attempted coup today, and you glossed over
It's still
a
going.
bunch
It's
of
not
stuff in
attempted
this
yet.
movie.
His
It's
character is
attempting.
not an asshole in this movie. They make a very clear point of saying that he was
He's a bit of a fuck up and like a bit of
yeah,
a bum.
He was
but-
detached from his family.
he brought his kids
Yeah.
into a
Past
like
tense.
nuclear waste site, essentially.
He was
What?
being
He
cool
thought he was
dad.
going to Yellowstone National. It's like going to Banff and being like, "Oh, he's a dick," because no, he had no idea.
No, but he hops the warning fences. Oh, but we got it. We gotta
Sean-
hop the warning fences. We gotta
Sean,
hop
you are
those.
nitpicking, bruh.
No, he's an
Yeah,
asshole.
okay, but how does that make him an asshole?
He
The
shouldn't
fact
be
that
bringing
he's-
his kids to a like place that says, "Don't come in here, danger, danger, danger. Don't come in here, danger, danger, danger."
Though who knows how
He
old
doesn't
those
know.
signs
He
were,
doesn't
man.
know his
I've gone
daughter.
into parks.
He
that
doesn't
have
know his daughter is wetting the bed at 7, which means he's completely negligent as a father.
Yeah, Sean, but why isn't I feel like in different movies you would say this is the like creating like this is a story who has like the protagonist.
Absolutely, but he doesn't.
know,
but
it-
like, who cares?
He
He's
has
still an
he
asshole
has
when
the-
he's doing these Herculean feats. I don't care for the asshole.
based
isn't
on
that-
what?
Yeah,
Based on his
what,
entire
though?
interaction with every other person in this film.
What do you
Yes, watch the
Sean,
film
I'm
again.
so baffled
Watch
right
the
now.
film
he's
again.
He's shitty to the stepdad, to the new dad, because of really clear reasons that I actually have like a decent
Well, yeah, the
emotional
stepdad's
connection.
a dingbat. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
But
then he also goes on
kinda-
to
but
save his
also-
life almost.
I think-
like initially, and then he dies. But
Like the characters in this movie actually have a bit of duality, where they're like real humans because like the
I don't
plastic
think any
surgeon new
person in a
dad.
Roland Emmerich film can be called a real human.
No, but they at least had a
Chiwetel
bit
was
of
for
duality.
sure a real human in this movie.
Okay, we should also talk about the scene where they hand wave away the billionaires creating these yachts as like, well, if you were a billionaire, you'd do it too. That was infuriating in this film.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm not gonna like Chiwetel. I like Chiwetel because he was human, sure, but he also was part of a class that like was negligent towards the entire human species. Why do I care about him?
He also saved however many people showed up to that thing. Like he's the whole reason why any of those
Cool.
people live.
I think like I don't know.
and he was the one trying to save the planet for 3 years.
Good. He should have told
And
people
didn't
years
know-
earlier. There wouldn't have been a movie if he told people, but I just want the movie to be about the good guy. A good guy doing good things, not like a bad
Chi-
person doing good things
But that's supposed-
eventually.
But that's supposed
How
to
is-
be the point of the movies, that you have people like Chiwetel and you have the other guy, the other
I think I
government
just
guy
don't like this movie,
who
guys.
is- That sounds like you just don't like the movie.
Yeah.
because
Because it's not giving me
actually-
anything to like.
Sean's
But I
bias
liked-
strikes again.
My
Yeah,
bias of
shit,
wanting
man.
quality films.
Yeah, a quality film. Look, I'm not saying this movie was amazing,
Yeah.
but it actually had decent characters in it in a way that I did not expect from it. Where there were characters who were like, I started off like not liking plastic surgeon new dad
Yeah,
because you're
yeah.
not supposed to like him,
Yeah.
and then you actually come to like him. That's a movie doing a good job, and that's with a side character. He is not even one of the
Do
main
you come to
characters.
like
And
the stepdad?
yeah, you come to
Yeah,
you
at
see
what
his
point?
humanity. Just like there are shot again, you stop watching. There's like a shot of him coming down and he's like trying to help them, and he's stepping up in like stupid ways to like try and help fly the planes. He's trying to help, and then he comes down
No,
and
he
he
doesn't
sees
want to
the
do
family.
that. He's doing all that reluctantly.
Yeah, I agree with Sean on this one. I didn't really
And
come
when
to like the
and,
stepdad.
and he
or
doesn't
anything.
want,
But
and
I'm
he
saying
wants
when
to
he
leave
comes
John
down, though,
Cusack, and he's constantly
and
a
he's-
whiny little bitch.
But he comes down and he's still trying to take care of these people too. Just he doesn't do it the same way that John Cusack does because he's not the main character of the movie. But he comes down and he sees them all embracing as like a family, and his face shows that he knows that he's never going to be a part of that, and he's a dink.
Did that
but,
make you like him though? That just means that he was
It doesn't mean
butthurt
I
about
like
being
him. It just means
kicked
he
out of
has
the family.
It just means he's like at least a multifaceted character,
Right.
which this movie has, and that has in like the
Sure,
other government
this
official
movie-
who's always saying like he's like, if you want to save, like my job is to ensure the continuity of the human race. So if you're not willing to do that, let me know if you have a problem. And you're like, yo, you're being a real dick right now, but like you're kind of needed in the room. Like it's that thing where the movie did it way better than I thought it was going to. Like it's not just a bunch of like one faceted characters. They're all pretty multifaceted, and you both like and dislike things about them.
Sure.
And that's done through the writing and through the performances. Shit on it as you will.
Oh, I
It's
will.
not straight up shit.
It's leaps and bounds against the Has Fallen series. I will give it that.
Wow, Sean, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that concession.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd go as far as to say that all the actors and characters in this movie were like well fleshed out, multifaceted.
I'm not saying all,
people.
but I'm saying a bunch of them.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd give it as much credit as you're giving it. I think that there were a couple of standouts. I think that there were also quite a few just like stereotypical one note performances as well. I think Chiwetel was great. John Cusack was great. Amanda Peet was kind of
She's fine.
She didn't really, yeah, she
Didn't
was
give her
fine.
much to do. Except
Yeah,
be
she kind
worried.
of just she did like the worried mom thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I would say those two people were like notable performances for me. I thought the first daughter was atrocious. I thought that Danny Glover's
Tandy
daughter.
Newton?
Yeah, I thought she.
Oh,
But
was
they
yeah.
also didn't give her much
They
to
didn't
do.
write anything for her.
Yeah,
Well,
she
whatever
just
they gave her to
listens
do,
phone
it
calls.
was.
No, they wrote
And she has like a really.
They wrote that great moment where she's introduced to our hero protagonist, and she doesn't even have time for him.
And the guy's like, hey, she's cute, huh? World's ending soon. Better make a move quick. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I thought that was
kidding me?
actually
Well,
kind of
there was
funny.
also that thirsty
Dan.
when he
I thought that was a funny
when he
line.
lands in India and he
Straight
sees
up
his
gross.
friend for the first time in a long time, who's got like dire news about the coming apocalypse, and the first thing he says to him is like, "Oh, your wife gets more beautiful every time I see her. How'd you luck out?" Why is that in
Did
there?
he say it like a creep like that though, or did he
It's
say
a creepy
it like,
line. I don't think there's
He
a
said
way
it-
to.
No, it's
I don't
not.
know.
I
He
haven't
was
seen
like-
you in so long. Your family is lovely.
No, your wife
he-
gets
no.
more beautiful every time I see her. Is the line?
It's a compliment.
It's I don't know. Sean, I think you just have some sort of bone to pick with this movie because it's about the horrible reality of billionaires creating a future for themselves where they survive
Oh, absolutely,
and no one else does.
that is a detriment to this film. Yes,
Well, yeah.
but they let
But-
like 2,000 people on the boats at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also no reason that they would have to give a shit about any of those. Like they could just say, "Yeah, we'll tell you when you have to board," and then they could just not fucking
Yeah,
send them a
yeah.
message. And they what are they going to do about it? It's one of those things like you have zero accountability. Why would you bother?
I also okay, so I was unclear about who was trying to break down the gate to get onto the ship at the end. Was it just billionaires, or had other
it's the
civilians
people.
learned about?
Yeah.
So the people had found out about this thing somehow.
It was just people who were working on the site.
Oh,
No, but there was like multicultural families on the ship at the end of the
Yeah.
movie.
but I don't. Who knows what that is?
So I didn't know
they
if that
also
was just like
suggested that they-
civilians who found their way to China, or if that was billionaires, or
They did suggest that they had also like that they
handpicked
also-
people with good genetics.
yeah, and like important people, like quote unquote important
Yeah.
people, and
The queen
I
and her
did,
corgis.
yeah. So it was a mix of people who publicly or privately funded the projects, as well as I think as well as like a diverse genetic pool of people who could contribute to society Mark II in a
Right.
important way. Seems
Yeah.
to be the case.
Because I kind of found myself on board with Chiwetel's counterpart there, with the decision to leave the door closed and just let those people die for the sake of the people on board the ship. Because I thought it was just the billionaires, but even hearing this now, that it was like the people who they'd handpicked or whatever, I still kind of think he was a little bit right.
Kind of unclear. It seemed like a lot of billionaires that I was cool to let die too. I know what you mean. If it was just them, but it was also like just.
But it's also the greater moral question, because like that decision almost cost everybody on board their life, right?
yeah, aboard the American arc. So maybe not so bad for future society.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you guys notice that Canada was on the European arc
Yeah.
and not on the same arc as the United States?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
They talk about it. They're like we of Russia, Japan, and China agree to open our doors, and they're like we of Germany, Spain, Canada, and I was like, what?
the fuck?
We're in like the European
Huh?
arc, and then like the U.S. I guess has their own because of course they do.
I also liked at the beginning
Oh,
when
that's funny.
they go in the middle of December. They go to the like conference in the mountains of BC, and it's like a nice summer day as they zoom in on the hut. Beautiful summer day in mid-December in the Rockies. You know. No, I was the only one. Okay,
I don't know.
good time.
I spaced out for what you just said. I actually don't know what you.
Wow,
repeat
thanks
it?
for coming to the podcast. This is Citizen
Yeah.
Kane Versus, where we indoctrinate Daniel into watching good films. Oh,
As Sean gets pissy about
this movie
Yeah,
is
shut up,
dreadful.
The
It's
movie is
not.
not dreadful. Well,
it's not okay. Sorry, let's go to the next round.
Right.
Let's do it. So Dan, sound effects, cue it now.
Ding, ding, ding.
Perfect. So, round 5, fucking rewatchability. Okay, if you're gonna watch one of these movies again, which one are you gonna watch? Like 2012
Wait,
has
okay.
what?
Isn't rewatchability just the surprise like scoring round?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe then. I guess we'll save it for then.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah, I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah,
I
I
guess.
think that should be
I guess we should
surprise.
see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Boom. Ding, ding, ding again. End of rounds.
Ooh.
They went the distance, as every pair of movies will. So now, just
Great
to get,
color commentating there, Jack. That's awesome. You got a real future ahead of you in sports broadcasting.
hey everyone, there's a fight and it's happening. They sure are fighting. Okay, so
They will all go the distance every time.
you know the rounds, all of them will be had.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding. I think we're done with this bit. So, fucking 12 seconds ago. So, now we're going to do an actual lightning round. We've called it a lightning round for 12 months or whatever, how long we've been doing this. And we've sucked at it every time. Now we're going to have an actual timer. We're going to we're going to try 2 minutes for our likes and grapes. Likes and grapes. I'm keeping that voice thing. And we're just gonna go around and just, I guess, scream. Are we gonna yell these? No, we're just gonna say them.
Let's go one by one. We don't scream them.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
going
just
to whisper
gonna-
mine.
We're gonna rotate around and we're just
Can you
gonna
say them in
say.
your Daniel Benoit voice?
Yeah,
No, that takes too
sure.
long. You need to be faster than that.
The Daniel Benoit voice is dead, guys.
Oh,
it's a
no.
new year, new me.
Oh shit.
No, I meant the new Daniel Benoit voice.
Oh yeah, sure. I forget what it was, but I'll try it.
To listen to it later. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna put 2 minutes on my phone, which is gonna be tricky because my notes are also on my phone. But we're gonna have 2 minutes on the clock.
I have my notes here.
So who's gonna start? Are we gonna get
You start.
Sean? You can. No, I am not gonna. I'm gonna say 3, 2, 1, and then go, and then so you're gonna go Sean, Dan, me.
Okay.
Ready? So 2 minutes on the clock in 3, 2, 1, go.
I have a gripe for shit. What's this film? 2012, and it is Roland Emmerich.
Great. Dan.
Great. Like Woody Harrelson's expositional blog video about the apocalypse.
The fact that in 1984 he pulled his tooth out. Fucking grape. It's gross. Sean.
I'm gonna go with a like. A like for 1984 is a private reflection outside the party needs. It was a funny line. I liked that line. Go. It wasn't funny, but it was terrifying. But that's why I liked it. Go.
Too much talking. I'm going to piggyback off your gripe, Jack, and say that gripe, next scene after his tooth is pulled out, he has the tooth back in his mouth.
Oh, fuck. That's a definite awesome grape. 2012 grape. The fact that all the time that the men are like, join me in the cockpit, men. Important things up here. Fucking gripe. Screw your patriarchy, even to the end of the world. Go.
1984 gripe when she falls down and Winston has to go help her up. The fall was stupid.
Like the idea of the search to eradicate the orgasm in 1984, I thought was very clever and interesting.
Grape, 1984 with the Trump rally thing was just too reminiscent of the current world, and that makes me a little bit scared. Go.
Gripe. Let's walk toward the bubbling place where a lake used to be in 2012.
Gripe, sorry, breaking rules to be cool dad in 2012. Same scene.
Fuck you.
1994, the shot where they move in on the prostitute and you see her face change was really cool. Like,
Nice.
you got like 20 seconds.
2012. Where's the vice president? God damn it!
He died in a helicopter in the ash.
Like coincidentally running into Chinese planes airlifting elephants and rhinos in 2012. Like.
Wait, like? That's a grape
I loved
for
it.
me.
I loved it.
I would have said that's it. I would have said that as a gripe. That
No,
part
it was great.
So,
it was great.
It was so terrible and lazy.
No, it's dope. It's so funny.
The elephants.
Oh god, it's convenient beyond belief. Well, good. That certainly was more. We'll keep getting better at that.
That felt a lot closer to what I think that round is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's got to be hot.
We just got to prep them more so we can just say them. I think even without context of what the movie is, we should know. So, congratulations. That was our first ever a real lightning round.
Successful likes and grapes.
Of likes and likes and grapes.
Likes and grapes.
Likes and grapes? Oh, yeah. I've heard of likes and grapes. Oh, I'd love to get me some likes and grapes later after this. Yeah. So now we're just going to like officially, we're going to do our rating of this movie. So after all this discussion, so let's get to it first with story good. Story good. So one is Pews and one is has a story, but it's not told super well. I'm probably still going to say 1984, just because it is still at least like a story,
Agreed.
as opposed to like an event. And I think
because I feel like it is more relevant to where our planet is going. I'm going with 2012.
Okay.
Not 1984 with the relevancy. Yeah. Oh, okay.
No, because 1984. I feel like it's where we would have been heading more so had the internet not come along. I feel like the internet has opened up a lot of doors for people to fight back against dictatorships and totalitarian governments and propaganda. And there's too much information available now for something like 1984 to happen to that degree.
Counterpoint. The internet.
Not allowed, man. I'm making my point. Go ahead.
The internet has facilitated fascists and bad people to group themselves together and plan and plot a lot easier than they would have.
100%, but it has also led to revolutions in countries that have until now been kept under the thumb of dictatorships. Egypt?
It's a new dictatorship there. It's not
That's
good.
A good point. the dictatorship wasn't brought in by the internet, but the ability to revolt in the first place was made accessible because
the Arab
of the internet.
Spring still was an example of it. It goes both ways. I think it certainly makes it harder to unify media into one thing.
Yeah.
Except Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm saying 1984.
me too.
I'm going 2012 because I think the world physically is coming to an end point, and maybe not in such a fast, drastic way, but definitely over time.
And it is the
things are gonna
Mayans'
start getting
fault.
real fucked.
I think we can all agree it's the Mayans' fault.
I've been trying to blame the Mayans for years.
Who
So-
also supposedly died because of sudden climate change.
I think polio helped too.
I think it was
Was it polio? I've heard it was climate change, but I could be wrong. I'm
smallpox.
Yeah,
We include disease in the climate. You're cutting out.
yeah.
Dan, so
You're
just
hopping in
yeah,
and out.
yeah,
Where are you?
sorry,
Where are you, Daniel?
sorry.
You're in the
There you
black abyss.
So
it
the
seems like
signal in
pointless
the void
1984.
is terrible, guys.
Oh,
Wait,
jeez.
there's no Wi-Fi in the afterlife?
Looks good. I guess I'm starting these because I introduced them. Look, I really appreciated.
You don't have to start
I can't.
them.
I don't want to start it.
All right,
because
I'll start.
Yeah, go.
Oh, no. Yeah?
Yep.
Daniel?
2012.
Agreed.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn,
Oh.
that's good because my instinct is also 2012
Yep.
because the visuals were so much of that
I would-
story.
yeah.
Even though I appreciated little things they did in 1984, it also had as many things that made me go like, "Mwah."
Yeah.
Whereas 2012 was like pretty well realized visually.
Yeah, I loved the shots in 1984, but like I was genuinely awed by some of the cool effects in 2012. So
Where are they? They're in Santa Maria. Where are they? I don't know. Lost something. Not Los
in the
Angeles.
Bay Area,
Yeah, whatever they are. They're in California. That whole scene is like
yeah, it's incredible.
it's unique
Yeah.
and stuff you can watch. I mean, they've done more stuff like it, but it's pretty astounding to watch.
Yep.
In like a pretty horrifying way.
So it takes the looks. One time.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Well, Sean, you heard the shitty.
Yeah, this is the one that like I like based on my listening experience, I have to give it to 2012 because it like meets the bar of sound that a movie should have, and 1984
sorry.
annoyed me.
Oh,
I
jeez.
gotta watch that version. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 1984. I thought that their soundscape was actually really effective and memorable.
Yeah, the orchestration was good. Their use of like hearing, just like they actually had sound as a story moment where they had the prole woman singing in that courtyard, like I mentioned, and what that means to them, and what they see in her. Like it's actually an important sound moment, and it's quite beautiful. And but also the use of the screens as like a whole. Yeah, 1984. Good job, Jack.
Woo! All right, point to 1984.
What's that? So what's the story?
2-1.
Is it?
It's 2-1 for 84.
Okay.
But now we go into acting. And for me, it's going to tie it up for these two movies because I think that 2012, for a lot of the stuff that you mentioned earlier, Jack, but also just because
Thank
there's
you.
more people to focus on, 2012 gets my vote.
Sean?
No,
Sean?
Just no?
that's my
Just no?
my vote is no to Daniel and yes to 1984.
Well, fucking SmackDown 2012. Eat shit, Sean.
Yeah, eat shit, Sean.
Yeah, eat shit, Sean. The acting is. I mean, John Hurt is good, but anyway.
Richard
whatever.
Burton's good.
2012. Whatever. Who cares what he? Honestly, I'm not. I've already forgotten everything that he did.
No, that's too bad. It was fun.
Nope.
He didn't do
It
much.
was a nice scene.
He just like grumbled out boring
It
lines.
was a nice scene.
Not sucked. Sean, you old fogey.
What I will
So-
say is I'm glad that we decided to hold off on the rewatchability vote until now because we were at a dead tie, folks.
All you folks.
All of
All
you.
you. Miranda,
So-
we are dead tied if you're keeping count.
So rewatchability.
This is really tough
Yeah.
because I don't ever want to sit through either one of these movies again. If 2012 were like 45 minutes shorter,
Word.
easy
Yeah.
win. But 1984 also kind of felt like it was 3 hours. So I don't know. Someone else go. Someone
Purely
else
based
sway
on
me.
purely based of story packed into length. 1984 wins it for me.
for rewatchability, you're more likely to watch 1984 again.
Yeah, if I want a disaster film, I'd honestly put on Independence Day before I would put on any of Roland Emmerich's other disaster films. So I just based on that, I'm not going to watch 2012. I'm going to watch 1984 probably again at some point. It'll be on TV.
Has this movie ever been played on TV? I'd never seen it anywhere before this podcast.
Satellite?
Except
I
for
don't know.
All right. I think my vote, just because of the fact that I'll have more places to watch it, I'm going to go with 2012.
That's the deciding factor.
No, you know what? If I have to choose one, the reality is 2012 is more fun. It's a better experience. So 2012 gets my vote.
It's a better experience. I felt things. I felt riveted in certain moments. I felt gripped in some moments. I felt moved in some moments, and I even giggled in a few moments. That doesn't change the fact that I guessed, I groaned in some moments, and I fucking rolled my eyes out of my brain.
And then there
in
was
some
still
moments.
140 minutes of times when you were like, ugh.
But the majority was on the positive side, if I'm being honest, of that really long. I also don't plan like I don't want to watch this again, but I also wouldn't be like super upset if it was like if I was in a situation where I had these two side by side, I'd be like, oh, I'll take the extra hour of movie and I'll put on 2012 because 1984 was a slog. It was a slog.
That I'm really surprised. I thought that you would be way more into 1984 than
Me
2012.
too, man.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yep.
And yet I'm 24. Like 2012, I had a more than decent experience watching this movie, and I was baffled by that because I remember hating it. And
Yeah,
I was like,
Maybe
I
it's
had
a
a similar
second watch
experience, too.
thing because like
Maybe.
I hate that movie right now.
yeah, I don't know what it was about it.
Yeah.
I think, Sean, you just need a bit more life experience before you can appreciate that movie fully.
Maybe I have to just like go out and find my way, find an arc that I can hop on, go to Africa on.
We both have our personal things that I think are inextricable from our viewing experience. And so like you hated the billionaire class doing anything in this movie, as I did.
The writing.
But I also liked a movie that was based on a climate issue being brought up by scientists, and the plot is that everyone takes them really seriously.
But is this a climate?
I mean,
this is not a climate movie, though.
That's not what this movie was.
Yeah.
This wasn't a climate issue being taken by scientists.
This is an astrology movie.
It's an astrology.
Astrology, yeah.
It is an astrology movie based on false information.
But the premise
circulated
is
on the internet.
People believe scientists, and that billionaire class gets behind the scientists. Anyway, whatever.
Well, no one
It's still
believes
a
the
dumb
scientists
premise,
until
it's a dumb
shit
movie.
starts happening, really, in this movie. Because my biggest gripe was
I guess.
No, yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing: the opening when we meet John Cusack. He's lying on the couch listening to the news where they are talking about the fact that scientists have confirmed that the world is going to end on December 21st. And he just like ignores it and goes out to like pick up his kids for a very casual visit. And there's like people going to the beach and like life is going on as normal. So the information is out there that that science has confirmed the end is coming. And nobody does a thing until the roads start cracking.
Which we can compare directly
volcanoes start
to
exploding.
the United Nations being like, yeah, we got to like 2030 to fix things, or like we're done. And everyone's like, yeah, okay, well, talk to us in 2029.
Yeah.
Ooh, I mean, that's a good point in favor of 2012.
Yeah, and the sequel 2029.
By Roland Emmerich. Well, that means, I believe, with a score of 3-2, the Citizen Kane of the week is
Those little bastards are called neutrinos.
2012.
Yay!
In a win that I did not expect, if I'm really being honest, when I pitched these movies, but the schlocky movie has pulled a win.
Yeah, I honestly thought that I'd have to come in
while.
here and fight you guys on that one. I thought that it would for sure be you guys against me on the.
No,
this one, but-
there are clear faults in 1984, and there are clear faults in 2012.
Successes in 2012.
There are successes in both of them as well, but I think really thing bad is what we're going for here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 2012 wasn't even like majority bad for me.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It
I know.
was. It was majority. It was like a lot of white noise destruction.
For sure.
Do you know what I mean? So like there were some exciting moments, but there's also a lot of this for people who are not watching this. It's me just like slouching and rolling my eyes.
It's an hour too long.
Yes.
Or at least 45 minutes,
Yeah,
like you said.
like if you need, I reiterate, if you need this kind of film, watch Independence Day.
Olympus Has Fallen.
Oh, no, don't. No one ever like. I'm going to suggest London Has Fallen at some point, just to
son of
continue
a
the
bitch.
trio. But
Watch Battlefield Earth.
Oh
That's
my
the
god!
one.
I want to bring that one back for the All Stars episode.
What's the opposite of an all-star? Like terrible things.
A non-star, a no star.
well, it's actually when they
a
start
pile of shit.
when they start
There
producing
is the shit pile.
neutrinos that are physically charged in such a way they mutate in order to and then they actually change the core of the Earth and its foundations. Yeah, that's the opposite.
Oh, well, I think that really clears that up.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for listening to our new and improved pod racing podcast. Tune in next week for movies pitched by Dan,
Well, yeah, what are they, Dan?
which are
Right.
going to
Okay.
be
So I have been compiling a list over the past few weeks
Certainly.
because we've been on a bit of a hiatus, and so I've got a couple of really good ones to choose from. So I will ask the group: are you guys more in the mood for kind of like absurd fantasy or raunchy comedy?
Raunchy comedy, I think, is my final vote.
I'm down. I'm down to follow Sean on this. Raunchy comedy, Dan.
Great. Okay. Well, then, by popular demand, we'll be having our first foray into the world of adult films next week,
I'm sorry, what?
What?
where we will be pitting the cult classic Orgasmo against the Happy Madison production Bucky Larson Born to Be a Star.
Well,
What?
great.
What is that movie? I've never heard of. What is that movie?
No, this is great. We had a whole talk about
Bucky what?
movies, and this is perfect.
Bucky what?
The Bucky, we did have a whole talk about it, but this is an Adam Sandler produced movie. It's the synopsis on IMDb says a kid from the Midwest moves out to Hollywood in order to follow in his parents' footsteps and become a porn star.
Okay. What's the title? I need to know what that is.
Bucky Larson Born to Be a Star,
Oh,
Colon.
starring Nick Swardston.
yes.
Swardston.
Now I'm remembering this movie.
Christina Ricci. It's been dubbed by a few outlets as possibly the worst movie ever made.
Okay.
Perfect. It's a great way. That's a great way to bring in the new year.
All right.
Yeah. And you guys are familiar with Orgasmo.
I've never seen it.
Never seen it.
Stone and
Never
Trey
seen it,
Parker.
but-
You've never.
No.
No,
I figured you hadn't seen it, Sean, but I'm surprised, Jack, that you
I
haven't
don't.
seen it.
I only watched Basketball for the first time last year.
Doesn't
as well.
hold up.
It does not.
I find it hard to
does
believe
not
that
hold
it ever
up.
held up. But I
It
enjoyed.
was hilarious when it came out.
I still enjoyed things about it. I mean, I'm
Sure,
again,
yeah.
I'm an easy sell. I love those two.
Oh, that was my other comment about 2012. Half of the scenes were out of Team America, right? All the sitting around in council with other countries and making decisions. It was all Team America.
Blowing up the Eiffel Tower and whatnot. Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, great, Dan. That is certainly unexpected, to say the least.
Yeah.
Those picks, I'll give you that.
Well, I
which
have
is
I have
fun.
other picks, but I
No,
think this will be.
it
I
wasn't
think
a criticism.
You've
I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I think
Let's
that we'll enjoy.
keep
these
them on their
films.
toes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get that Orgasmo fan base finally.
Thank God.
I think so. I was gonna go Boogie Nights, but then I figured it's like a 2-hour heavy fucking drama, and I wanted to keep it in the world of like funny porn comedy. You know.
I think that's perfect. I think they're perfectly matched. Well, great. So
you.
those are the movies for next week. Any final thoughts before we leave, gents? Anything you want to say to our viewers this year? Like and subscribe.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. Whether you're new to the podcast or you've been following us since the beginning, if you are new and you like what you hear, then feel free to go back and listen to other episodes. You can follow us on YouTube. We are Citizen Kane versus VS, not versus the word. You can watch full episodes there. You can also leave comments in the description for any videos you like, or if you have comparisons that you want us to do. You can also email us at citizenkaneversus@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Citizen Kane Versus Podcast. And we're also on any of the podcast apps.
We're on the Twitter.
We're also on the Twitter. What's our Twitter
we're on
account?
the Twitter.
It's Citizen Kane VS.
Yeah.
Citizen Kane VS on Twitter. And obviously, if you're listening to us on a podcast app, you can continue to download our episodes there. And please just rate and review us if you like what you hear, because that goes a long way in putting our name to the front of searches and stuff like that, and just getting our show out to a wider audience. So
if there
we
are
encourage
buttons
you to
on your podcast app or on your phone at all while you're listening, just hit every button, because we just need interaction from the apps, and that really helps our algorithm. So just like hit all the buttons.
Hit all the buttons. Tell all the friends.
Yeah.
Call Carrie Elways.
Yes. Hashtag
our
come on
goal-
the show. Hashtag Carrie come.
Hashtag come on, Carrie.
Yeah.
If
Come
anybody
on,
out there
Carrie.
knows Carrie Elwes personally, please just let him listen to an episode of this show. He'll for
He'll
sure
hate
want to
it,
come on.
but
No, he'll love it. We love him. He'll love us. He'll be on the show in no time.
Yep.
We really want Carrie. If you're listening, we'd love to have you on the show.
we'd like to bring you on.
Quick
You can
Thanos
do-
teaser. Carrie Elways beats Thanos. End of trailer. End of movie. End of cinema. That's my Thanos teaser of this new year.
I did kind of
Always.
I do have like a real quick Thanos one. So at the end of 2012, they're like, everyone get out onto the viewing deck, and it's the first time we've had breathable air. Toot toot, and the viewing windows come down, and it's just Thanos' army on the other side, and he's like, and that's the end.
And the
That
music
was
is
your
like,
hilarious Thanos teaser that you had to throw in there.
I think it would be pretty
had to be
funny
said.
if there's a genocide at the end of 2012. You know?
Just because you hate the movie. I can't
true, yeah.
beatbox I can't beatbox after genocide. You need one more buffer.
Genocide is bad. We don't like genocide.
Genocide's bad. Carrie Elways, good.
Harry Elway's great.
Carrie Elwes good. Yeah.
Come on, Carrie. Come on.
Hashtag
come on, Carrie.
Hashtag come on,
Hashtag-
comma, Carrie.
Hashtag come on, Carrie. Citizen Kane versus.
Season 2.
Meow.